and welcome to Hello, It's Us, a program based on the premise life goes better in general when it's us working together and not you, me, and them working apart. Hello, It's Us is brought to you by the kind folks at BATV Channel 18, Uptown Bills, and the Center for Disabilities and Development. I'm Terry Cunningham, one of the co-hosts. We have Keith Ruff here, as always, and we have our friend Mitch Swanson here tonight, who's going to talk to us about the benefits of a rather unusual object. Give a preview of what it is we're going to see here, Mitch?
Yes, absolutely. This is the standing wheelchair, and unlike other wheelchairs that are available to those, this one actually will allow you to stand up, and it's just that quick. Go back down, just like that, and it gives an individual the abilities to have the best pressure release possible. And you guys, as you know, that's something that's very important.
I certainly do. And of course, I mean, sure, folks are sitting there going, "Ooh, ah, isn't that neat?" But is there a practical reason for that? You just mentioned, pressure relief. And, when we talk about pressure relief, we're talking about getting weight off as many bony points in the body as possible, the butt, the hips, the coccyx, your shoulders, whatever, so that we don't end up getting wounds, which, as Mitch and I are too well aware of, can take months and hundreds of thousands of dollars to heal. And
well, with a wheelchair like this, Terry, it eliminates or minimizes the effects of pressure on your backside, and allows you to get 85% of your weight now is on my feet. Mm-hmm. So I get the benefit of the pressure release. I get the benefit of weight bearing on my bones, the cardiovascular, tendon release, just a stretching, and doggone it just feels pretty good just to stand up.
Yeah.
And it's just that easy. I can go up and down 50, 100 times a day just by doing this. Mm-hmm. And it's just really easy.
And just the stretching part of it is, I mean, everybody can appreciate the fact if you sit too long and, you go to stand up and my God, it's like you're 300 years old and parts aren't bending and stretching, and, to be able to do this. I've never had a standing wheelchair, obviously, but
well, I like to compare it to someone who's driven their car for 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
What's the first thing you want to do?
Get out and walk around.
And and for me, I drive a van, and I can get out and instantly just start doing this number here, and it feels really good. Mm-hmm. In fact, I wouldn't be able to do my job if I didn't have this particular chair, because I'm sitting a lot driving.
Yeah. Well, and just the workout that you get going up and down like that. Yeah. You have your own little accessible gym.
You're right. I get the energy conservation of a power wheelchair, but then I get the exercise of standing up and down all day long. Mm-hmm. And it's just that easy. I myself have a C5 level spinal cord injury, and it'll work for pretty much anyone with a spinal cord injury, MS, CP, TBIs, what have you. It doesn't work for everybody, but it works for most everybody, and I like to say about 80% of the time we can get somebody in this chair.
Sure. Well, and I mean, it occurs to me, even if somebody isn't able to use it to stand themselves up, somebody else could stand them up.
Absolutely. We do that on many occasions. We're a caregiver, and each chair would be custom designed for an individual. Mm-hmm. It has to be. And I've seen people 7 feet tall, 350 pounds, down to a little person. And sometimes if they have a TBI, for example, the caregiver has to be the one to make the decision when to stand. And quite frankly, it's so much easier to do it this way than trying to transfer someone into
yeah.
a standing frame. That's just
Sure.
not doable, especially at school for school children. They can stand anytime, anywhere, and if they want to be involved with the school activities, drawing on the chalkboard, or maybe they want to get something out of the cabinet at home, or the bookcase, or at the library, or any of these kinds of things.
Yeah. And you know, as you say, all the time, doing pressure relief, doing stretching, and you know, just all the other wonderful things that, you know, what do we, kidney stones, bowel bladder infections.
Well, the body is meant to stand up,
Yeah.
quite frankly, and we're designed to move,
Yeah.
and we're not just made to sit still.
Mitch, what particular company produces that?
This chair here,
Yeah.
it's actually made by a company in Saginaw, Michigan,
Okay.
called the Standing Wheelchair Company. And they happen to be the only manufacturer of a manual standing wheelchair in the United States,
Okay.
and so on. But even if a person couldn't do it themselves, it comes in a power version as well.
Yeah. Well, as I say, that because people who can't absolutely do that kind of stuff themselves probably need to be able to do pressure relief
Yeah.
as much, if not more, than somebody who's able to move around and bend over and all that. And it's just, you know, again, as I say, the cost of not doing it is just so ridiculous.
Well, yes, a person who would be hospitalized because of a skin flap surgery. Well,
Been
they're
there,
off of
done that a
work.
couple times.
Yeah. It's very
And-
expensive.
And as we get older, we need to move around a lot more.
To keep your health,
Yeah.
keep you young,
Yeah.
and to move.
Well, as we get older, skin
Break.
gets more susceptible to breakdowns. The more breakdowns we have, the less quality the skin that replaces it is, and it's just kind of a vicious circle.
Well, like you said, and that takes away from the quality of life. and
Yeah,
participate
yeah,
in
it
life.
does.
Yeah, one of your comments about kids using it in school to reach something from a cupboard, or just to get them up to eye level with their peers,
Well,
or to be able to get in a position where they can see something the same way their peers do, and everybody else doesn't have to look at it first, then it has to be specially stood up somehow for them to see. The more they feel like one of the group, the more they can participate, the more well-rounded their life's
well,
going to
everybody's
be.
been to a concert when you can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I can see.
Or a sporting event, or, you know, yeah, whatever.
Or even in a store when you want something or fix shelf.
Yeah.
The store, and another good reason is putting an individual back to work.
Yeah.
People have to work, and you know, it opens more doors if I can stand up to do my job. Cashiers, teachers, photographers. You know, just in a line of
Yeah.
things, and that's how it gets funded as well.
Or, you know, yeah, I mean, salespeople. I can't imagine just from the whole perceived power position, how salesmen in chairs are really effective. You know, if they don't have the option to
Stand up.
meet somebody on their level.
Absolutely, and meeting someone, yeah, you're right, at eye level makes a big difference. Speaking events, standing up at a podium. You know, a teacher has more volume and respect when she can look over the top of her classroom as opposed to not.
Yeah.
And so on. And I know numerous teachers that have these chairs now that teach. And, one is a biology professor down at the Western Illinois University. Big difference. And it made instead of them having to re-establish the classroom to fit him, now his wheelchair is accommodating to the classroom. So it works out very well.
And disabled people who can't do it manual, it can be done by motor.
Sometimes an individual, you're right, doesn't have the ability to do this,
Man,
and so on. So what you have to do is, we just have a chair that, just by changing the modes here, can just by pushing the
Okay.
joystick and they stand up. They drive around, they sit, they stop, and they change the mode,
Yeah.
and they stand up. It works similar to what you're doing when
Yeah.
you tilt. And
yeah,
Now, can they be driven around when they're in the up position?
no standing while moving, and there's safety issues involved with that. And some people will have difficulties with their depth perception after an injury or something like that. And if they have weak bones, you wouldn't want to be bouncing around.
no.
There goes the basketball scholarship.
Yeah, every time. But, but once you really get used to the chair and understand where you have to be to stand in accordance with a cabin or something, you get really good at it. And quite frankly, it's better for you to go up and down frequently throughout the day, rather than always being in a standing position. Moving is better than
Yeah.
just always want to be there. And it's so easy to do.
It's good for the circulation.
Oh, absolutely, hands down.
I don't see where it's not good for anything. It seems to be good for everything.
I have a friend that likes to go to the bar, and it's a great place to meet girls.
And Mitch, in your opinion, do you think it's comparatively priced with the other chairs?
It is. It's. I don't seem to believe that this chair is any more costly than other wheelchairs, and in fact, I know of wheelchairs that are more expensive, and they don't stand you up.
Well, we were just talking. My wheelchair, as I said here, is $2,000 more than the one Mitch is in now. And I don't know where yours runs in there, Keith.
Mine 4 years ago was $21,500.
Okay, you have the cheapest of the three chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys both remember, God, what was it? 7, 8, 9 years ago when the iBot
Yeah.
chair was going to be the next big thing, and people were going crazy over the cost of it because it was going to be between $25,000 and $30,000. And this was a chair that didn't stand you up, but had a seat that raised up to get you
Yeah.
to the level. You could use it to go up and down flights of stairs, which was one of the cooler things. It had gyroscopes in it, so one of the ways they demoed it was to put the seat up, and then the guy in the chair would play catch with the partner with the medicine ball, and it kept balance. And I don't even know whether they still make those,
They don't.
don't they?
No, they were not for very long, and obviously it was a quality chair and did some things that were needed. As far as going up and down stairs, I had the opportunity to try one once, and I really had a difficult time doing that. But so actually, quite frankly, I'm going to go find a ramp if I need it. And as far as the elevating, yes, it did elevate an individual up, but it did not give anybody
No,
the benefits of standing.
not that.
Which is probably why it just was difficult to get funded, and that happened. It just wasn't the benefits that was needed.
But there's certainly are more expensive chairs out there than the iBot was, or that one of these would be. I mean,
Yeah, this chair will run somewhere around $24,000.
yeah.
And then depending on
Every
the
time you add
customization.
something, because I mean, I know of chairs that are like 50 grand chairs, and they do everything, and people go, oh, there are people who need that, who need a chair that will tilt, recline, and flatten out, that has a built-in ventilator on it, that's operated by a sip and puff system, all that stuff. And you can believe us, we don't get any more than we have to on our chairs. As far as the bells and whistles go, we're well aware what each bell and whistle costs. That
Yeah.
if we're not going to hit the bell and blow the whistle regularly,
Need to keep it simple.
there's nothing. And
But on
the
the,
more
other,
gadgets, the more can go wrong.
but on the other hand, technology has enabled us to do more now than we ever have.
Sure.
Well, that's the nice thing about this chair being made in Michigan. You know, the availability of repair if need be. Although this chair here is 7 years old and it's hanging, I've probably been up and down 500,000 times.
God.
You know, if you think about it.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Looks like you've gotten your money's worth.
I think so.
What's the estimate on a chair like this?
For its price,
No, for,
longevity.
yeah.
I have a couple guys that have chairs that are older than mine. It all depends on how you take care of it as well, and you know, and so on. But this being 7 years old, that's an old chair.
Yeah.
Mine usually lasts about 10 years.
It could be, sure. You know, as good as this chair has been to me, I almost hate to get a new chair.
I know what you mean. Now, does insurance cover
It does.
Medicare, Medicaid, et cetera?
Illinois Medicaid does.
Okay. They're all different.
Yeah, and they're all different, and it all takes a little work, and it takes the prescription from a doctor and a letter of medical necessity and these kinds of things, and the need why this individual actually needs to stand up, which is pretty obvious if you ask me, but you have to go through everything, and then once it's all put together, then the insurance is filed.
It's another one of those things that when you look at all the benefits for it, and the fact that those have always been benefits, and you know that when there were standing frames around, they wanted to throw us in those as much as possible for all the benefits that you get out of that one. It amazes me that it took so long for somebody to come out with a chair like that, and that then other companies didn't immediately follow.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation. This chair has been built since 1993, so it's not like it was built last Saturday.
20 years.
And you know, quite frankly, you know, I've run into people in the parking lot. You know, if I see somebody in a chair, I'll zip over and say, "Hey, would you like to see this?" And that most certainly they do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have talked to people about standing chairs. I need a standing chair. They go, "Oh, what?" And I think it's still a pretty well-kept secret.
I think so too. I think it's a little more involved trying to get the funding for it, but it's definitely worth it. And, so, you know, with an individual, especially the newly individuals who are injured and so on, they're unaccustomed to what their life is going to be like, and it'd be really nice to get an individual back standing as quickly as possible and put you back in the game, per se.
Well, frankly, I don't know how you could do that anymore with the short hospitalization periods. I mean, my God, when I was injured in 71, I spent 13 months in the hospital. If I was hurt today, that's the number of weeks you'd spend. And I can't imagine how unserved those folks are, because there's no way you can compact everything you need to know and to process into 13 weeks.
You're right.
And with the 13 months, we also had the advantage of old injuries coming back in for routine checkups who, you know, were a wealth of knowledge. You know, well, you know, what do you do when this happens? Is this going to happen? You know, I had da-da-da, you know, how do you avoid it? And, you know, they were all happy to sit around and talk about, you know, the pitfalls and the things not to let somebody talk you into, and the things that you really needed to work hardest on. And, you know, just because they tell you no, don't listen to them. You know, that was one of the things that if I had listened to them when I was going through my occupational therapy, and every time I snuck into the kitchen to look around and they chased me out because I couldn't do that, God starved. Said, what the hell am I supposed to do once I get out? How am I going to feed yourself? Well, won't your mother be around to cook? Well, how well rehabilitated are you going to get me if the immediate assumption is I'll be living with my mother? If I bring a note home that says I cook at home, you cook at home?
You can't do that.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
What do you cook? Sausage, eggs, hash, whatever I'm in the mood for.
Yeah.
Food. Yeah. Exactly.
Now, was my mother's reaction the first time I said I'm going to cook myself breakfast? Well, go ahead, Terry, knock yourself out. No. Did she and one of the neighbor ladies frequently sit on ends of the table ready to charge if anything happened? Yeah. But they knew I had to find out whether I could do it.
You had to adapt a process to make it work for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's just no hand.
But, oh my God, my father, the first time he got up and I was out there cooking breakfast, was like, oh my God, did you have to let him start doing this again?
Maybe.
But, or when I decided I was going to get my driver's license again and came back from a week checkup and said, okay, I'm going back Sunday and taking driver's ed. No ticker tape parade. No cheers. No fireworks. But they understood.
Learning how to drive was
Yeah.
a total new
Essential.
experience. 2 times we got to do it. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we've run out of time for this segment. Want to thank you for stopping by. Always fun to have you
Yeah.
around.
Well, thanks for having me. It's one way to educate people with the devices that are available, to the wheelchair population per se.
Great.
And so yes, thank you.
Well, everybody, thank you, and stick around for the next few minutes for the introduction of this week's assistive technology tip. Take care, Keith.
Yeah, you do, Terry. Good to have you.
The iPad 2 came out and you could get Dragon Naturally Speaking, which was a software program I first heard of several years ago on a PC. And what that allows you to do is speak, and it converts it to text. Well, I found a number of people with brain injuries talk very quickly. And I mean this without any disrespect, but sometimes they speak very quickly and they're almost, and the human voice, the human mind only needs to get about 20% to understand. Well, a software program needs to be able to understand correctly. I'm not saying it's mechanical, it's software, but it needs to put down exactly what it hears. So I guess a success story, actually a couple of them, where individuals came to me and they spoke very quickly. They're self-conscious about it. They know that they do. And when I asked them to trust, because they've got some other issues as well, they went, I can't do that. I speak too fast. I said, let's try it anyway. So they did. And what happened was, I asked them a couple of simple questions and to give me an answer. And they spoke, and it came out pretty quick. But it got about half of what they said correctly. The light bulb went on. They could see instantly that if they slowed down a little bit, that it would probably be more successful. Well, what happens then is I have them do it again. And they intentionally slow down. So now instead of speaking real fast, they slow it down, and there might be out of a paragraph only 1 or 2 words that aren't correct. They light up. They're excited. So we tried a third time. They've slowed down again, they're thinking about what they're saying, and it gets at 100%. Did that solve their problem? Not necessarily, because as soon as they leave this environment, they're going to go out and resume how they normally do things. But they know that they can do this. So if they choose to invest in an iPad, the software is free, that they can then put their words in emails, in Facebook posts, on documents, and all they have to do is slow down to get it right. That's a tremendous success story.
Oh, it certainly is. If success with people who can go back and forth from being able to slow their speech down when they're talking to the iPad, but go back to the normal way they talk when they're away from it, or is that too difficult?
Well, that's a very good question, Terry. Typically, I haven't worked with them long enough to really get into it a lot, but what happens is when they're talking to the iPad, they consciously slow down. If the question is, can they transfer that line of thought in their conversations with other people, I think it's just a matter of time.
No, that wasn't what I meant.
Okay.
I meant, can they concentrate on the iPad every time they try to talk to it?
Oh, yes.
So that they could sit down and do a couple letters, do some emails, shut it down, go in the other room, and they pick up talking the way they normally do, but when they get ready to go back and use the iPad again, okay, yeah, that would be fanatical.
Well,
fantastic.
Well, it is fantastic because they know then that when they're talking to an iPad, they have to slow down. And they get reinforced every time they push the button the second time and see the text.
Mm-hmm.
So it's constant positive reinforcement. And I just think that's a phenomenal thing.
Gary, in your opinion, with someone with a very severe speech impediment, how long would it take to get that under control?
That's going to vary in every circumstance. There are some individuals, this may never, but in the 7 years I've been using speech recognition, in just about 1 year now with the iPad 3, I found so many people who have gotten better at speaking. The software improves all the time. Initially with Dragon Naturally Speaking, the software program you use at home, it's trained to only your voice.
Well, I've never quite figured that out, because if I happen to be on my Dragon and somebody calls and I use my speakerphone, the Dragon catches both sides of the conversation. Or if I'm working and somebody comes in the room and says something, it'll pick it up. And it now doesn't require any training, which is just amazing from the stuff I started with 10 years ago. It had a whole series of things that you had to read them over and over and over until the program got so it understood your voice. But now you pull it out of the box and download it, and you're ready to go.
Well, that is true. It has advanced to that degree. The error rate is going to be higher, much higher, when it's catching somebody else's voice kind of by accident.